So I had Paul Smith come on.
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago, or about a month ago.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one. I saw an earlier one.
We did this in person, and the settings, because I never do them in person. I usually only do them over Skype unless you guys come over. So
right.
like once every few months. My settings were wrong on here, and I didn't get his side of the audio.
Oh no!
Yeah, and it was a really good podcast. I was pretty butthurt about it.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to make sure that we're like.
So.
But we're good though.
So what happened? It just was you, and then you couldn't hear him, and they could hear him.
So I'm using this program called OBS, which is called Open Broadcast Software. And you have to put in. It has scenes, and you can switch from like. Okay, let's think of it like you're watching a TV news show. First thing that pops up is their logo. Second thing that pops up might be like a preview video of what they're going to be talking about while the announcer's talking.
Right.
You know, and then the third scene is like them actually sitting at the desk. Each one of those different things is a scene.
Okay.
As I switch from the logo to the preview video to the desk, that's a different scene, right? Mm-hmm. So I have to set up each different scene on here, which we were only using one because of the way this program works. But the preview video I was getting wasn't what I was actually recording.
Oh, shit.
So it was showing me a different preview video than what was actually recording. So I'm thinking everything's good to go. Everything's, whatever. We talk for 2 hours plus. And then he takes off. And then like that night as I was going through it, I'm like, dude, I can't hear him. Like, barely. And it's only because he was picking up on my microphone.
Oh, shit.
And so I was like, maybe I can increase it to where...
Yeah, maybe you could turn his part up or whatever.
And it just wasn't... It sucks because he's actually a contractor now going out working with the old kind of StrikeLink software, the TLDHS or whatever the new version of that is.
Right.
And he was giving like an update on JTAC stuff, like current JTAC stuff.
Oh, man.
And I was like, yeah. So
you missed all of that.
I missed all that. So I apologize, everyone. I apologize to Paul for wasting his time.
So you have to bring him back.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. But I feel bad asking you guys. I don't want to ask you all the time. I don't want to feel like I'm bugging you. So
you're never bugging
I won't
us.
ask him for a little bit just because I don't want to.
Well, he's working, but you're never bugging us.
He's working.
He's
always out of town, too.
Yeah, lucky him. He's traveling.
Yeah, he's doing his thing, man.
But, yeah, you're never bugging us, man. We feel, and I know other people kind of have the same feeling. They're like, man, I hate to tell him I can't because it's my daughter's birthday or whatever. You're like,
God, please tell me.
You don't want to let the dude down.
Oh, you're not letting me down at all.
Because remember when we were first starting, the whole idea was, hey, let's do everything we can to help him get up and running. Yeah. So
it's fun, man. But like I said, people have been asking for you to come back on the show, so here we are.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's
Tracy Offutt. This is like your 5th time, maybe?
I don't know.
I don't even know now.
Yeah.
You were in the first 10, right? First 15, if not first 10.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was early.
Maybe it was 12 or whatever on your first one.
And then we did the 50th anniversary or 10th anniversary or something like that. Maybe it was 100th, yeah.
Shit, I don't even remember.
I don't know.
Isn't that crazy? It's been 2 years.
Well, I don't know if it was the second or third one. I got totally sloshed.
Oh, man.
And
yeah.
And Farrell had to give me a ride home. And then I was listening to it. Did I tell you that story? So we had to drive to South Texas. My wife's asleep, and I got the podcast, and I'm playing it in the truck, and I'm playing it on kind of like 1.5 speed because I want to hear the whole thing before she wakes up and takes over the radio, right?
Yeah.
And then I have to listen to music or some nonsense. So, anyways, and I'm like, man, we're freaking talking fast. And then as the podcast progressed, I'm like, Tracy, shut up. Oh, you're drunk. Stop fucking talking, dude. I was talking to myself. And I was so glad when it ended. I was like, well, thank God that thing ended.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Well, one, everybody hates hearing themselves no matter what. Like, as soon as you hear your own voice on a recording, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me a little while to kind of get over that whole, like, hey, we're doing a recording. Or, I don't know, just hearing myself. I don't know.
Is it hearing yourself or sometimes you don't articulate? Like, I don't articulate what I'm trying to say is not what's coming out.
Dude, after 100 and this will be episode 127, I think, or 128. After that many episodes, I've said some stupid stuff, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm like kind of over I accidentally said something dumb. kind of feelings. For me, it's I don't know, just hearing yourself. I feel like I sound a lot more nasally in real life than what I hear in my head.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's why the headphones and all that.
Yeah, you can actually kind of hear yourself.
Yeah, you sound completely different.
Just like you, if I'm listening to the podcast and I hear myself say something stupid, or I'll get a unit wrong, or because there's a ton of military dudes out there that'll nitpick. Oh, he said he was with 3-1, but he's actually with 2-1, and they weren't in that area. And you're like, all right, dude, I said the name wrong.
I know. It's kind of like, here's one for you. You know when someone corrects you, right?
Yeah.
You say, you say something, you transpose a couple words or whatever, and they say, you meant X. And so my comeback now is, yes, that's exactly what I meant, and you knew, so there's no need for you to say anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't be a douche.
Don't be a douchebag about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, but that many episodes, you're going to say stupid stuff. We're all going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on every one of them, so there's got to be something on there that I said that's completely out of the ballpark. But, oh well. It is what it is. Overall, it's been a fun experience. 2 years, 120-something episodes, 126, 27.
I think, dude, you grow as a person because you're getting different perspectives from,
for sure,
different people. Like, hey,
Yeah, and I try to leave like politics and stuff out of it. It's mostly like, just tell me what your life, what was it like? Like I had Travis Nardi on the other day, who's a recon Marine, but before he was a recon Marine, he was a 46 crew chief.
Oh,
and
wow.
During his time as a 46 crew chief, he applied for, was accepted to go up to HMX-1. So he was, and this was during like Obama's presidency. And so I was like, hey, I don't care about the politics, but what was it like to just be around, seeing the behind the scenes of the president's like schedule?
Daily routine.
And he was just talking about how like crazy and chaotic it is. And there's like a whole army of people, that like if the president's going to go here, there's a whole army of people that goes ahead of time, to clear, make sure everything's good to go and all that stuff. And so it was interesting to kind of hear that background. And I'm sure he's got his own political feelings and stuff like that, but we don't like talk about. Yeah. Now, when we talk, obviously we talk more politics and stuff because we know each other. You've been on a bunch of times. People kind of probably know a lot of your background now if they've listened to all your podcasts about your time in the Marines. So I don't mind talking like that, but I just don't like it to become like a.
Well, yeah, you try to. Well, when you're interviewing someone that you don't know, I guess you probably want to hear more about their life, their experiences and stuff.
Plus, I don't want people to be turned off by the podcast because I said something about being a conservative or someone says something about being a liberal.
That irks the hell out of me. That whole you can't be friends with anybody if they don't.
It's crazy.
Agree with you. I have a real good friend of mine. He was a Marine with me in 1.5, and he's middle of the road, just like the whole building could be on fire, and he'd be like, "All right, guys, let's grab our important documents and get out."
Yeah.
And his wife is from another country, a former British colony, and she's like super lefty. Yeah. And we love each other, and we're completely opposite on everything. I don't, the taste of whiskey. Quality of wine, politics, there is nothing that we agree on. Nothing. But I enjoy having just conversations with her.
I think you find that less and less with younger crowds. I think older crowds, it was always kind of a commonplace rule to no religion, no politics. We're just here to hang out and, at events and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I kind of disagree because I think they've trained us not to talk about things that are important.
You think so?
Don't talk about politics and religion at Thanksgiving dinner. Those are important things. Probably the most two important things in anybody's life that affect their life the most. Yet they don't want you to talk. So I think this is my own conspiracy theory. I think they try to not get us to talk about it because they don't want you to change the people on their team's mind. But I have learned in that same vein that you don't have to change people's minds. If you're like me and what's her name, we're really good friends. I enjoy her company. I enjoy the conversation. We argue from the time I get in the front door of their house to the time I leave. We're arguing the whole time, but it's expanding.
Yeah.
And it's cordial. I never say you're a freaking dumbass lefty communist, and she'll call me her funny conservative or something. You know, she has like a British term for it.
Yeah.
But or whatever.
I think most people actually, most people agree on probably like 90%, maybe more.
Yeah.
Topics, but those few things that kind of split people is what the media drives, and they want to push it and like make it
makes ratings
of conversation. Yeah, because like there was that whistleblower for Facebook the other day who was talking about how they know that negative like stuff that'll make you angry is what'll make you engage.
It'll make you scroll to the next one.
Yeah, so it sucks, but
I read something on that, not that particular case, but when you're scrolling, the reason they designed it to scroll like this instead of turn pages is there's an interruption in the thought process when you turn a page. But when you're scrolling, it's continuous, and it makes you stay there longer.
Really?
And I've for myself, I've tested it. Like, I'm a big Instagram fan. I like going on there and seeing. I like finding new stuff, new bands. Even in Oceanside, I'll find restaurants, bands.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff through there. Events that are going on, and I'll time myself. Like, all right, I've been on here 30 minutes, and I'll try to remember what I looked at in that 30 minutes. And I'm like, shit, I don't remember. 90% of it I don't remember.
Yeah.
Unless
you're
Volkswagen
like a robot
related,
just swooping through.
Yep, just going to the next. Oh, neat. Ooh, neat. Ah, ooh.
Yeah. Me and Farrell were talking about how I'm just addicted to my phone. I use my phone constantly because I'm running multiple social media channels.
It's work related, so there's give yourself some space.
A tiny bit of space. I could check my stuff once, and then I should be able to check my stuff once and then walk away, or make a post and then walk away and come back in a couple hours and check it. But I'll get on my phone like constantly. I'll get up and walk away and come back like 30 seconds later and be like, well, I need to scroll through the apps real quick, see if anything's on Twitter, on Instagram. That's why a lot of times I respond pretty quickly to people that write comments and stuff on Instagram if it's something that's, I can respond to. If it's just like a heart emoji, I can't really respond to that.
Yeah.
But I respond to stuff. One, I in my own mind, I try to justify it. Like, man, if there's something wrong, like if a customer has like an issue, I want to know about it as soon as they post something online. That way I can get in there and fix it. Like if someone gets a bad print on a T-shirt or something like that. If they're going to post it on Facebook, like if I'm getting tagged in it, I don't want to sit there. I don't want it to sit there for 2 hours with no response.
Right.
So that's kind of in my own mind. I try to justify like why I'm on my phone constantly, but it's unhealthy, man. It's an unhealthy thing.
Yeah, no, it's bad. I super happy. I left my phone. It died. And so I put it on, I turned it off and put it on the charger. And I was going somewhere, and the bug has no way to charge.
Yeah.
So what you have, you're taking a risk. You might not have service.
Yeah.
And I realized I left it there all day. I went to the store. I came back. I did all the things I needed to do. I forgot all about my phone. Mm-hmm. And I got back, and I was like, oh, shit, I better check my phone. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. What a different world, though. Like we were talking about before we got on here, how you came down here without using your GPS. And I've actually been trying to do the same thing, like when I go down to downtown San Diego, because I go down there quite a bit to shoot photos and stuff. So I want to be able to know the roads without having to look it up or get on my GPS.
Yeah.
But like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, like if you wanted the GPS, you had to buy like the TomTom.
Yep, I had one of those.
Or Magellan or whatever by itself. Yeah, so did I. You set up on the dash.
Yep.
And that was cool. That was pretty handy. But before that, people carried maps in their car. People looked in the phone book.
Yep, you tore the page out of the phone book at the public phone thing like a jerk, so the next person had no map.
I saw someone using a payphone the other day. I was like, what?
I did too.
That's so weird, right?
Yeah.
Didn't that just feel weird that someone's using a payphone?
I didn't think it worked. I thought the guy was covering. It was out front of the Donuts on Mission. In Posoli neighborhood, and I was like, that dude's on the...
So I had been looking over, but I guess I didn't notice that your line wasn't bouncing.
Right.
Because it was, Yeah,
it was at the beginning.
I look a lot at the beginning because I'm like, all right, everything's good to go. So then we're good, but I guess we lost a ton of that.
I wonder if you are able to like scroll through it until where like when this wire fell, and I picked it up and see if that was the point or if it was before then, and then we can narrow it down to maybe this.
Yeah, it's something with the connectors. That's done that before, because if you have the headphones on, when it does that, you'll hear like a beep, like almost like a beep, and then it goes.
Oh, telling you, hey, that one's off.
You just hear it goes beep, and then it disconnects, and you're like, what just happened? And it's like a short. It's almost. So I think with the connector, if it wobbles in the bottom of the microphone, it's like a short or something in it.
Yep.
I mean,
is it working now?
Yeah.
I'm wiggling it around.
Yeah, we're still on, man. Yeah. We're on now. Now I'm bummed.
Yeah, me too, dude.
I'll cut out that other stuff, but
yeah,
dude, that was like an hour.
I know, and that was good shit, man.
We had been talking for an hour and a half, and we only caught the first like 20 minutes of it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because we've been going for a little while now. It's almost 5:00.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah, dude. Fuck, man. That really bums me out. Well,
shoot.
I don't even know what all we talked about. We were talking about living in the barracks. We were talking about Lieutenant Colonel Scheller. Like,
yeah, just all kinds of cool shit.
I want to rehash all that.
Yeah.
So what's up?
We won't even remember all that.
Bummer, dude. So this is the hard part about doing this podcasting. It's actually much easier for me to do it on Skype and have like remote guests, because I only have to worry about my one setup, and if they're connected, then I'm recording them for sure. However, I would much rather do them in person, because this is a lot better of a conversation in person, like a more natural.
Yeah, it's more personable.
So yeah, I need to get, and this is something I was telling Farrell, I'm looking for a place right now. I'm looking for a place to move to.
Oceanside, man.
I want to move back up there because my kid's going to school now and stuff like that. So I want to get closer to him. Because right now I'm like, I'll drive like once a week to come pick him up from school, just to like,
be a
so
part
he
of
doesn't
the
have
process.
to walk home.
Yeah,
and so I'm looking for places up there, and the goal is I'd like to get ideally a 3-bedroom place, and 1 bedroom would be set up with the podcast stuff,
right?
And it would just be never touched. Set up, ready to go. Because like this, I have to set this up every time.
Right.
So every time I set it up, there's a chance that I could fuck something up, not plug in one wire, not do something.
Or the wires get worn.
Something happen. Yeah. So once I get that set up, once I like, I don't know. This pisses me off that we fucked that. I messed it up.
Man, we talked about some cool stuff too.
Yeah.
And different perspectives.
Damn.
So,
that's crazy.
I'll make notes.
We had some good stuff. Well,
we'll hit that stuff again.
What's up with the? So you bought the bus? A bus. Would you call it a bus, a van, vanagon? What do you call them?
Bus.
Yeah, microbus.
Yeah. So 69 bus. The dude I bought it from was a Marine. He was a former reservist LAV guy. Mm-hmm. And a stay-at-home dad now, and his wife. Cool story, man. So his wife, he was a reservist, LAV guy, and his wife was doing something, I forget. But anyway, she went to school, and they sucked it up while she was in school. Now she's a doctor at Camp Pendleton.
Like an actual doctor?
A psych doctor, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I forget what she does. But anyways, so when I got it, it was olive drab. He had painted it like an LAV.
Oh, really?
All the chrome was black. All the white bumpers was all black. It was super ugly. It had been in storage for a while. It had been sitting out, and he had been driving it, to go get the mail and take the kids out or whatever.
Yeah.
Super ugly, man. And I wasn't gonna buy it. I just didn't. I think.
What's the going price for a super ugly 69 bus? And whatever condition. What kind of? Was it in drivable condition? Well, I mean, you said he drove it.
Yeah,
around.
Run and drive. It was in better condition than most, and I got a better deal. I didn't get a great deal. I didn't haggle with the dude. So what happened was, I'm taking my youngest boy to base legal. He's got some baby mama issues. He's on leave. He's stationed at Fort Hood, and I'm taking him to base legal, and we go past the lemon lot. And he's like, "Hey, Dad, check it out, the bus." I'm like, "Yeah, cool. We'll check it out when we get back." We go, we get the paperwork. On the way back, we stop. And the guy was super tech savvy. Mm-hmm. He had, how you put a sign and you got your phone number, little strips. Well, he had little take a picture of it with your phone.
Oh, the QR codes?
Yeah, a little QR code thing. And it led to his blog of his adventures. He was a rock climbing instructor.
Oh, cool.
On his full-time job.
Yeah.
And he was all over the country. And, he's got the bus in, this national park. And is it going? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's climbing rocks and stuff. And so super cool. So you could see the background.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to spend any money, And my son and his buddy, she was in the Army with him. She got out. She lives up in Pacoima. She was down visiting for the weekend. They're like, you got to get it. You got to get it. I'm like, all right, we'll ask Mom. Because that was my out, right? Mom's going to say no.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to spend any money, even though I wanted it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to spend any money. And it was ugly. Dude, it was freaking ugly. Had 2 trailer tires on it. And one tire was from the 90s. And they were like, it was just ugly, man. All spray painted. It was faded,
Was it rusty at all?
No rust, man.
Duh, you're lucky.
Yeah, it's got some body work in it where they had took some dents out and stuff, but not bad. Not like super thick Bondo, like just a thin layer. There's a spot where they popped it out and then filled it in.
Smoothed it out with the Bondo.
Yeah,
that's what Bondo's supposed to be used for.
Yeah, exactly.
Not filling full holes.
Yeah, exactly. Not 3 feet of it.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I go to Mom, my wife, and she's like, "Go ahead and get it."
Were you like, shit?
I'm like, damn it. Yeah, it's exactly. I was like, damn it, I don't want to spend any money.
Yeah.
So anyway, I bought it, and so funny part is, I'm like, hey, we'll meet at Navy Fed, and I'll get you cash, right, at the Navy Fed over there. And he shows up, and I'm like, hey, where's the bus? He goes, oh, it's still at the lemon lot. I'm like, no, we'll go get it and bring it here, and we'll do everything here. And when I give you money, I want to take my car, right? He's like, all right, well, go with your son, go pick it up. Here's the keys, and I'll wait here. So I go back, we pick it up, and the starter was dragging on the flywheel, but I couldn't hear it. And so I get to Navy Fed, it's all good, pay the guy, and boom, starter won't kick. And so the first thing the guy says to me is, hey, you want me to help you push start your bus?
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, funny, dude. Cool guy, man. So he's like, yeah, okay. So push start it, fire it up, drive it home. I'm like, all right. I know what happened. Because the ignition switch was all worn out.
Yeah.
And when you hit start, back to run, it would bounce. And it would hit start. And it hit start, and it just kind of drug it off and on.
Oh, okay.
So I just got a starter.
Is that an automatic? Or is it a 3 on the tree? Like,
it's a 4 on the floor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same thing as a Bug, but it has like reducers. I think on that model it has reducers, so it's lower geared. Dude, it's a dog. Buses are not high-powered vehicles.
No.
I mean, I'm going up the hill at El Camino. I'm in 3rd gear, and you're not going to 4th gear.
When you said you were coming down here today, I was like, I wonder if he's going to drive the bus. And I was like, man, that's a hell of a ride in that bus. It's got to be like, can you even take it on the freeway? That thing's got to be slow.
Yeah, it's slow, man.
Well, I mean, I saw a guy, fucking California, man. I saw a guy on the freeway today heading south on a moped. He was in the right lane. So I was like, from a distance, I'm like, no way is this dude on a moped on the freeway. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. And as I'm getting closer, he's got like 4 or 5 like 6-foot sticks that he's got at an angle across his lap that he's holding onto on his moped as he's going down the freeway, like basically holding on with one hand. I'm like, no way, dude.
Hey,
what's that? So how's the bus on the freeway though?
It's okay, but you're definitely in the slow lane.
Yeah.
And every hill you hit
bogs it down.
Yeah, you're going 40.
What kind of motor's in it?
1600. It's got the same motor as my Bug, 1600, but it's got dual carbs.
Look out.
I need to tune it in a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it runs great. You can fire it up. I can take it to the store, go to the beach, load it down with surfboards.
It's a nice local round town kind of thing.
With a little bit of time, I haven't spent the time, like I'll put a Petronics style ignition instead of the points. Mm-hmm. Get the timing in and get the carburetors synced a little bit better. It'll be more drivable. Right now, it's great for like heading to the beach or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I did have some Master Sergeant like cuss me out he was in a big Dodge Ram, and of course I'm going from second to third, so I'm going 30. You know, I'm going, and I'm almost to 40. You know, and he passes me, and he's like, "Get in the other lane." You know, I'm like, "It's all good, bro," which really sent him over the top. But what was funny about that is he whoops through traffic, right? And he gets to the light, and of course I roll up right next to him.
Yeah.
You know,
like I'll see you at the stoplight.
yeah.
Hurry up and get there.
3 minutes later or whatever it was, or 30 seconds, whatever. I roll up and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he's like, "Fuck you."
That's
all right, bro. It's good. I know you got to drive all the way to Temecula.
Is there like a community of those around? I mean, there's a ton of them in Southern California. Obviously.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, on the drive down here, I saw one in my rearview mirror. He was probably a quarter mile back, and I'm like, "Oh, he's never going to catch me." You know, I'm going 60, 55, and I'm like, "He's never going to catch me." I was going to try to get a picture, you know, through the mirror, and this dude had a bigger motor out, obviously, and he freaking caught up with me and was waving and shit, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, bro?"
Is that pretty common to switch the motor out for a different motor?
To upgrade a bus motors is pretty common.
What do people normally throw in it?
Yeah, a bigger.
Volkswagen
people
motor,
do like a Subaru swap.
Okay.
And that, but I'll never do that.
Like a Boxster motor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll do a Subi swap. That's what it's called, Subi swap. But the problem with that is, when you're in the bus, you can see the headlight buckets. They're right in front of your shins.
Okay.
That's all that's between you and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So if you hit something,
yeah.
And I love the old Volkswagens, but they're like driving a tractor with. I feel safer on a tractor. At least you have that big nose out there, you know.
Yeah, for sure. People know you're coming.
Yeah.
Or you have that buffer.
You have something between you. They're right there. So if you bump into something, it's going to crumble.
Yeah.
And it's going to crumble right on your shins, and there's no place for you to put your legs.
You got like a 1/4 inch of aluminum keeping you from.
Yeah, and that shit is, you can push it, dunk, 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 you know.
What's the gas mileage in that thing? It's got to be
about 25.
Wow, it's better than my Jeep.
20 to 25.
I
get about 20 16 something out of it.
Yeah.
Between 20 and 25, but that's because I've come to the realization I'm not getting there fast.
Yeah. It's
and
just and there's no reason to.
Yeah, and half the fun of having those old cars is talking to people. You know, every stoplight, somebody's like, "Hey, man," you talk to people for a little bit, or so.
People like me, I've always wanted one. You got to run into people like me all the time. It's like, man, that thing's sick.
And people that I love the old people.
Yeah,
old people are awesome, man. They're like, "Dude, I had one of those back in 1969. You know." We went to Mexico and I got drunk and somebody stole it, and they have a story. You know,
it's a whole story.
That's cool, man. He's like, yeah.
There's a dude that cruises around in the what is it, the 21 window or 23 window? What is it?
Yeah, well, they have like 15 window and 21 window.
Whichever one has the portholes.
Yeah,
which is like the most like exclusive one, I guess.
Yeah, that's the $30,000 junk model.
For a junk one, yeah. For a nice one, you're talking 6 figures.
Oh, it's ridiculous. There's a company now. A guy who goes down to Brazil and picks them up and imports them to the States. He gets $30,000 a pop.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But this guy is up in Oceanside, and I used to see him every morning when I'd walk from my apartment down to the beach to go shoot some photos of the surfers or whatever.
Is he in the black one?
I think it's like a black or green.
There's a black primer one I see real regular.
Does it have the portholes?
He doesn't. He has more of the van type. Doesn't have all the windows, but it's a split window. It's got the split front end.
If you see the one with the portholes, this dude, I talked to him. I ran into him at O'Reilly's one time. And I was like, bro, super nice van. I mean, that whole thing, like you got the portholes and everything. That's sick. And he's like, yeah, my brother actually bought this in Germany when he was in the Army. In the 60s. He's he bought it in Germany, and then he brought it home with him. And then he decided he didn't want it, so he sold it to him. And he just cruises it every day. This super rare. And I'm like, man, you know how many... And he knows, because I'm sure there's 100 people a day stop him and be like, I would buy that. Because it's such a hard thing to come by. Like
especially the split windows. The split windows look nicer.
Yeah.
The bay window, the one I have, is a 68 and later model. It's got the bigger front windshield. It's actually a better driving vehicle. You can see, because the portholes, you call them, all the windows. Yeah. They can be confusing when you look in the rearview mirror.
Well, not the side windows. I'm talking about the portholes that are in the roof.
Oh, yeah. That's the 21. That's the guy. Yeah, those. But those are actually not as, for me anyways, not as desirable because you're getting the sun beating on you all day long.
Yeah.
Through those windows. And I'm a user.
Yeah.
Like I don't have any classic vehicles that can't be used.
It's not a garage queen.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Like I've always had old cars. My whole life I had old cars. But I've always had something that didn't take money away from the family. So I have to be able to use it. It can't be a project or a weekend car. It's got to be something I use on a regular basis. Because I'm not going to have my wife and kids.
That's why I liked my Evo when I had it, because it was 4-door.
Yes.
It's a 4-door sports car.
Yep.
I could throw my kid in the back, but I could still do... I mean, I had 155 in that car.
Holy crap.
On the 5.
I am happy to get 55 in the bus. The Bug I can get 65, 67. I mean, I've gone 90 in it.
67, it's whatever.
Yeah. Well, when I went 90 I was coming back from Temecula. If you hit that one last big hill, if you put it in neutral and there's nobody in front of you, I can get up to 90 before I hit the Pala exit on that big hill.
Does it feel sketchy? Is the car like shaking and stuff?
Yeah, it's
like, what
not
are you doing?
cool.
What are you doing?
Yeah, the car's like, dude.
So what have you done to it so far? Didn't you paint it?
Yeah, I painted it.
Just kind of basic clean it up and...
Yeah, I sanded off. I did no body work. So easy off is the trick, man. You want to get paint off of something? Use easy off. You put it on there, let it sit for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then a green scratchy pad and soapy water. Wear gloves. I learned the hard way. And the paint washes right off. Easy off takes the paint off of everything. So I easy off the whole thing. And then I rattle canned it. And I did, the white top, and I did all the bumpers and all that.
For rattle can, for spray paint, it looks real good.
Funny thing, man.
I mean, from pictures online.
Yeah, it looks good in the sunlight. It looks good in the, from a distance or in a photograph. If you get up close, you can see where, like, one of the cans was bad, and I started shooting. And you got to shoot over wet.
Yeah. And
you got to make it even. So the areas that it was good is real good. It actually looks like it was sprayed in a shop.
Yeah.
But the areas where that one can, I picked it up and it was bad. So by the time I grabbed the other can, got it ready, and shot it, it wasn't quite as good. So there's some orange peel.
Runs or something in it?
No runs, but there's some orange peel. But I only did, I think I got $40 in the paint job.
I mean, for $40, it looks pretty good.
And it's.
Do you plan on painting it again in the future? Or is this
eventually I'll probably do something with it. I'm going to put the soundproofing in it, and then I'll do the panels. My wife's going to make curtains for it. The curtains in it are badass, man. They're the original curtains from '69. They're like some kind of burlap material.
Yeah.
They've been in the sun. And they don't fade. But they're ugly. They're like this ugly.
They're from the '60s.
Yeah, ugly brown burlap curtains. Material.
People in the '60s are like, look how nice this is.
I know. This is almost avocado greens.
I wish, if only we had shag carpet here, it'd all go together.
Yeah, it'd be perfect.
What's in the back? Is it a bench? Do you have benches, or some of them have little kitchenettes kind of set up in them?
So this one's got. There's no kitchenette. I think that's gone.
Yeah.
The little sink part. But it's got the bed, the back seat that folds down into a full-size bed. And then you could set it up as a seat. And then I have another, navigator's chair.
Yeah.
And it's got an outlet. Like, you can plug in the shore power, plug your, 110. It's got a 110 outlet.
Yeah.
Back then, you only needed one outlet, I guess.
Man, in the '60s, can you imagine driving cross country with that thing?
I can't believe that people did it, but I guess if you're not in a hurry.
If you're not in a hurry and you plan on going south and not over the Rockies.
Yeah, if you're going up
go through Texas rather than go over the Rockies in that thing.
I was reading stories where people would put it in reverse. They'd put them in reverse and back up the hills because reverse is lower gear. And they'd use it to get up really steep hills. They'd back up the hills and then turn around and,
You think that's one of those cars that people are like, man, I'd really love to have one, but if they actually had one, they'd be like, man, this is not that cool. It's uncomfortable. It's not practical.
I don't see how they draw the amount of money they draw, because they're uncomfortable. They drive like shit. They stop like shit.
Do they? Are they bouncy and stuff?
Not too bad. I put new tires on it.
It's got to have drum brakes all around, right?
Yeah, drum brakes all around. The steering wheel is kind of like a bus steering wheel, like a tractor. So you're kind of hunched over a little bit.
Okay.
So it's a little uncomfortable.
It's not like in front of you. It's like almost flat, right?
Yeah, it's not comfortable like a station wagon where it's up here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't get it.
But you still got it, though.
Yeah, because they're fun. It's fun. It's like the Bug. The Bug is fun.
Can you listen to music in it?
It had a radio in it when I bought it.
And you're gonna put one in it?
I'll probably just use a speaker and Bluetooth it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a radio delete. It's got a radio in it. He had like a Panasonic, Walmart radio in there. Take that out and put the panel delete, and then there's a kit where you could put USB plugs.
Yeah.
In that radio delete. And so you could charge your phone or whatever.
Yeah. You should take it up to the South OC Cars and Coffee. Have you ever been up there for that? They do it on Saturday mornings up at the
one in San Clemente?
Mall. Yeah, the outlet mall.
Yeah. I've been up there a couple times, actually.
Good times.
Yeah, I took the Bug up there. Both times I took the Bug. My daughter and I, we took the Bug. I tell people that I know back in Indiana, I'm like, dude, this happens every weekend. And in one weekend, you will go up there every Saturday morning. You will see cars that anywhere else but Southern California, you might see like once in your lifetime. Maybe. Yeah.
And some cars you'll never see, except for magazines. Like Paganis. They bring Paganis down there. A whole row of just supercars of like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and fucking, I remember one time I went, there was 2 Porsche 870s parked next to each other, and those are the hybrid, or they're fully electric. I want to say they're hybrid. They're the hybrid ones, and they're like $860,000 each.
What?
And 2 different people brought one and parked them next to each other. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. This is like a legitimate race car sitting here.
Yeah, it's crazy the stuff. That's what I learned. So a guy backed into me in the Bug.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was terrible, man. I'm at a stoplight, big van, Mr. Van Life or whatever. And he wants to get out. He doesn't want to make a right. He wants to get out of this lane and get into that lane and make a left. And he's backing up. And I'm like, oh. And I'm trying to get in reverse. And then, of course, the idiot behind me pulls right up to my bumper, so I can't move. And and I'm honking the horn and waving my hand. He can't see me because he's got one of those big vans. And he just crumples the hood and the front fenders. And I can't do anything but sit there and take it because I don't want to back into this guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What a dick.
Yeah, he wasn't really a dick. He was kind of cool about it.
You're going to back up in the middle of the street?
Yeah, it was it was something that I would do, but I wouldn't do it if I couldn't see behind me.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's like, I didn't see you. I'm like, I know. You got this monstrous,
Most of those things have the backup camera thing on them, but...
Yeah, he's like, I got to get a backup camera. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter now. But he was cool about it. He texted me like a week later. He's like, hey, I'm going to Mexico. What year's your Bug? I'll look for parts. And I'm like, yeah, just look for them. But his insurance company paid me like some ridiculous $2,200 or something. I had to have him come out to the house and do the
appraisal for it.
The appraisal, because no body shop would look at it. They're like, that's too old,
Yeah. What year? It's a 67?
67. And I'm like, look, I can find you the parts. And so I got with his insurance company and the adjuster and had them come out to the house. And then I provided them with all the links. Like, hey, here's where you find the fenders, the fender welt. And I made sure I went through all the stuff that you can't see that's damaged. Mm-hmm. So then I take the hood off. I bang it back out to where it's kind of halfway usable. I pull the headlights out. Both of the mounts is crushed. So I bend all those back, and I kind of have headlights. Like one is over there and one's over there, but I have enough to drive. And then yesterday, I go to start my truck. Doesn't start. And I just charged the battery. So I'm like, okay. And I don't use it that often, so, I'm like, all right. So I had done some jerry rigging on the wiring. I checked that. Nothing. I opened the hood. I'm like, all right, check the battery. It's got plenty of juice. All right, starter wire, the hot wire down to the starter. No, it's good. Okay. All right, I'll hot wire it out here underneath the hood. So I grab some pliers. I hot wired it. Fires right up. Boom.
I have no idea how to do that.
I'll show you, man. It's super simple. But the freaking thing's in gear. That's why it wasn't starting. So it starts rolling forward.
Oh, my God.
And I'm trying to push it and, like kick a rock or something. And it's about to crush my legs between it and the bug. So I jump out of the way. It rolls forward, crushes the deck lid of the bug. I have to run around, turn it off, put it in park. I'm like, son of a bitch. That's why it wouldn't start. The damn thing was in drive. Huh? So now my deck lid is crushed.
I didn't even notice it when you came up. I'll look at it when we go back out there.
Yeah, it's dented in pretty good. And it's a one-off deck lid. 67 that's the only year for that shape of deck lid.
Oh, so that makes it even. Is there an aftermarket?
There is.
I mean, is there a lot of people out there in the bug world looking for a 67, deck lid?
Probably not. People don't usually smash the shit out of them like I did.
Fuck, dude.
But my brother-in-law gave me a 64 deck lid, which it'll fit, but it won't close all the way because the bumper's in the way. The way it's shaped at the bottom. So I got to do some jury rigging, or I'll bang that one back out and make it look like a later.
You're just making it last.
Well, the original plan with that car was not to spend any money on it. We came back from Afghanistan. Gas was $4.50 a gallon, and my truck gets 6 miles to the gallon. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, I'll get something cool to jet back and forth to work, and I won't spend any money on it till I retire. And so, yeah.
Now you're retired.
And now I got to do something to it because it's, you can take a new car and kind of use it, and the paint gets worn. But now it's getting to the point where shit's gonna start falling off.
Yeah. Didn't you have to replace the oil pump or something on it recently too?
Oh no, that was the
Or you busted the oil pan or something.
Yeah,
like that?
the I forget what it's called, but it's a little circle on the bottom of the oil pan.
Oh, the sump.
Yeah, the sump. Well, there's a sump, and then there's a little plate. I forget what it's called.
Okay.
And that plate has 8 bolts in it.
Mm-hmm.
It sticks down like that much. And I hit one of those things they put on the highway when they're working on those metal things.
Oh, yeah.
I hit it, and it just sheared it.
Oh, man.
So I had to get home on what oil I had left.
That's super sketchy.
Yeah, it sucked, man.
That's, one thing after another with that thing.
Yeah.
It's, it's a project car. It's a project that never ends.
Yeah. Well, that's what they are. You got to have to love that kind of car. You got to love
being in there and working on it. I think that's kind of the old Harleys were like that. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to be a Harley mechanic to own it.
Yep. And you learn. I mean, I don't know anything about what I'm doing half the time.
YouTube, man.
Yeah, YouTube. YouTube is a godsend.
For sure. I always have YouTube. When I would work on my Evo and stuff like that, there's always a video for something. I was a mechanic in the Marines for a couple of years, so I understand mechanics and I can do the work. But it's always better to see someone else do whatever task you're trying to do, because there's always a little trick to make it easier. Yeah,
there's tricks and there's things you don't know to look out for. Hey, don't pull this off because this is gonna jack up that.
Yeah.
So hey, make sure when you're taking this off, take this off instead of that.
I used to always work on my car with a tablet underneath the car with me, with a YouTube video fired up, and I'd be play, watch them do it, pause, look at it, either start working on it, or if I was still kind of confused, I'd go back to the video, look again, and be like, okay, let's do this. The
only thing that bugs me about the videos is they need to get to the point.
Well, some of them, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, my cousin from Tennessee, and they got this long... Dude, I just need to know where the freaking thing is at.
They're like cooking blogs. They're like... where you want to get the recipe, but they got to tell you
the story.
Yeah.
My kids love it. I don't give a shit about you or your kids.
And the reason for that is, again, advertising.
Yeah, you got to scroll through all the advertising.
Because if you do read it, you're on that page for 2 minutes longer. And all that stuff gets added up to how much money they can get from advertisers.
Yep.
Because they could be like, hey, look, every time someone comes on this page, the average view time is 2 minutes. So that means for 2 minutes, they're going to see your ad.
Well, with that knowledge, I'm going to start spending more time on the ones that I want to support.
On pages that you want to support?
Yeah. So, I got former Marines that we were in the Marine Corps with that have businesses.
Yeah.
And they have stuff. I'll spend more time on there just to help them.
If they're advertising.
Most of them have the ads, yeah.
Recipe ones are normally hosted on blogs. And that's where blogs get their money, is from advertising. If it's like my website, like I don't have advertisers on
Right.
jkramergraphics.com.
Yeah, because
I'm selling T-shirts there.
You're selling your product, yeah.
Yeah, what else? Now, if I started a blog, I was thinking about. I got a bunch of stuff in the works. I got a few, and I'll talk to you offline about it. But I got a bunch of stuff that I'm thinking about doing, and some of those will involve like a blog and having advertisers and stuff like that. But yeah, I got some stuff.
It's a great way to do business, though.
You know, man,
you're providing a service, and like the recipes, they're providing a service. I want to make this thing, or I have these 3 items and I want to make whatever. So they're providing me a service, so I don't mind
scrolling through the bullshit.
Yeah, and I'll click, hit recipe, get all my shit together, but there might be something on there, like what I was telling you about the grounding thing.
Yeah.
So I had heard of it.
I think we lost that part of the conversation. You want to bring that up again?
Yeah, so I don't think we even brought it up. Am I speaking?
Did we? Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So
now we're paranoid that the mic's
I know.
not
I keep glancing at it now, trying to be responsible. But yeah. So Chief Doran used to do it, and I didn't quite, I never took the time to ask him about it. What is earthing or grounding? Right, but he kind of told me about it, but I never spent any time on it. Anyways, so I'm going through one of those recipe things or whatever, and there's a book out there on earthing from this holistic doctor chick, and I'm like, oh, cool, let me check that out. So I YouTube it. So the theory is we have negative ions moving around in our body, the electrical impulses that tell your fingers to move or whatever, right? And we're supposed to be, as human beings, connected to the earth, which is a positive field. I think it's, and I could be backwards on this. Somebody that knows more about it can fill us in. But anyways, there's it's electrical currents. And so you're supposed to touch the earth with your body, your feet or whatever on a normal basis. And that's what grounds you or earths you. And then your blood pressure goes down and all this other stuff, right? So I said the same thing. I'm like, this is some freaking hippie bullshit.
Yeah.
And then I start trying it. So I'm like, hey, I'm open to try whatever. So I go to the park, like when my wife's doing soccer, and I do barefoot. I do my whole workout barefoot in the grass.
Okay.
And so last time I go to the VA for my checkup, I have super high blood pressure. That shit's almost normaled out. It's not perfect. It's not like the cure-all. Like, hey, step in the grass and you're gonna feel great.
I feel great.
Yeah. Obviously, no one can make any money off of walking on the grass, so no one's gonna sell it, or on the earth.
Some Pfizer grass.
Yeah,
this is exactly our medicated Pfizer grass.
Yeah, but there's like little pads you can buy that you put your feet on while you're on the computer.
For people that live in the city or something.
Yeah, and they earth you the whole time.
That's so weird.
So,
but you're not part of the earth then, though. You're stepping into a pot.
Well, this pad, this is the freaky part. So it plugs into the wall, into the ground part of your wall, and they give you a little tester that you test your outlet to make sure it's wired properly, that it's actually grounded like it's supposed to be. And then you put your feet on this pad while you're on the computer or whatever, and you're grounded, and now your whole circulatory system of electricity is working like it's supposed to. They have sheets.
I don't know.
I'm telling you, I don't know either. I'm not sold on it, but I do know it has lifted my mood.
I'll tell you what. If it's done that, then fucking do it.
And so, could it be the placebo effect? Could
be.
I believe in it? Because I like that whole hippie bullshit earth stuff.
You are a Volkswagen bus driver.
Yeah. But, I got this cool sticker, man. So one of the guys at one of the bug get-togethers, he's got a bus, and it says, not a liberal. Big freaking sticker across the back of the thing, like this big.
Just to let people know.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm getting one of those.
I just like the bus. I don't like the politics.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know about grounding. But hey, man, who am I to judge? You know what I'm saying? If it's helping you.
So
Can't be mad about that.
So yeah, I don't know if it's placebo effect or if it is in fact working, or if that day I went to the VA, I just wasn't stressed out, and and my blood pressure was closer to where it should have been. But it does feel better.
Yeah. So I think it's good to get outside and be barefoot, and just being outside at all is good.
Well, here's the other thing. So in how you go down the rabbit hole, right? You're checking all this stuff out. I got real bad foot issues. I don't have them anymore. Got to believe to achieve. So,
like what?
Like plantar fasciitis, fallen arches, all kinds of shit, right?
Spent too much time on your feet.
Yeah, in shoes. So there is the theory.
With weight on your back.
Yeah. I think that made us stronger, goddammit.
That probably helped.
Yeah. That's how you survive.
Mm-hmm.
But so you go down the rabbit hole, right? The whole earthing thing. And then I go down the rabbit hole like the barefoot thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, you don't just get plantar fasciitis overnight. It's from years of wearing shoes and walking the wrong way and doing all. Walk barefoot and that shit gets better. And they tell you, hey, 10 minutes in the morning and then 15 minutes, and you slowly increase, and your feet will get stronger because now they're touching uneven surfaces and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're not being supported by the shoe all the time.
Yeah, like giant arches and stuff.
Right. So the theory behind that is if you put your arm in a sling, like you break your arm, it's in a sling for 6 weeks. You get out, it's all atrophied because it hasn't been used. Well, that's how your feet are. They haven't been used like they're supposed to be because you've been wearing running shoes and this and that.
There's a lot of barefoot running started to become like a big thing in around 2010, I think is when it started. And it was always like hey, if you want to try it, cool. But like literally the first time you do it, run 100 yards. Yes. Like don't go and try to run 3 miles because you'll fuck yourself up.
That's how I fucked myself up. Because I got into it. I read the book that came out. I forget about the Tarahumara Indians, and they run in flip flops and they win all these ultra marathons and stuff. Yeah. And so I read the book and I'm like, cool, I'm doing that. And of course, typical Marine Corps fashion, I put on my Converse and I go for a 7-miler. And I do that repeatedly, and I get to ANGLICO and I got foot issues, man. My feet are killing me.
You were running 7 miles in Chucks?
Well, I ran in Chucks as a kid. That was the shoe that we took to PE.
It was like your basketball shoe.
Right? Yeah, you took it to PE and you ran your laps in it. But you're a kid. Yeah. And then I ran in Army boot camp. I used Chucks the whole time. I used running shoes in the Marine Corps because you didn't have a choice. The Marine Corps, they give you the green and blacks, and then
it's
I went
like Asics or something as
well. Yeah, New Balance or Asics.
Maybe New Balance. It might have been New Balance.
They're cool. They were woodland camo.
I was gonna say they were for a little while. I didn't get those, but for a little while they did have like the Digi camo shoes. I remember one of my buddies coming back from boot camp and having them.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
I know guys that go down to, well, I knew them. They're old guys, but they'd go down to the Recruit PX and buy their running shoes down there. Because, you pay $80 for it in town. You pay $35 at the Recruit PX.
That was always the thing. People would go to the Recruit PX to get razors, uniforms, because you could get a huge discount on it.
Yeah, you get the regular price.
And the uniforms you could get almost new because you'd buy the uniforms of the recruits that quit. Yep. Or got kicked out. Yep. So they were used, but they were...
Shit, that's how I got my... the Alphas I used... Well, they changed from cotton... it was wool and poly. Yeah. Or wool and cotton, I think. You had your winter and your summer Alphas.
Really?
Yeah, so you had 2 sets. You had a wool set and I think it was cotton or poly. And then they went to the new material where you only had to have 1 set. And I was like, I'm not buying that. I'm wearing these till the last day, Yeah. And then I went down to Sepp's company at Camp Pendleton where they kick all the guys out and they collect all their uniforms. And, some... Lance Corporal on FAP, I'm like, hey, dude, I need a set of whatever the new material was, Alphas. I need them kind of this size. I'll get them altered or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I can't, man. They all got to go to Dermo. I'm like, come on, bro. You got freaking trash bags, little black trash bags, lawn and garden trash bags, full of camis and Alphas and all that, just all over the office, right?
And Dermo, for those that don't know, is kind of like the military's recycling.
Yeah. Defense Reutilization something office. Management office something. Yeah. Like and they sell all this stuff to the spies or whoever.
Well, yeah, they sell to like that's when they They're the people that take all the stuff and then it goes to like Albany and shit like that. And then they, damn, everybody's calling me. And then they do the auctions and sell it to like the military surplus stores.
Yeah,
and stuff.
surplus stores, all that. But anyways, I got a. He goes, if you take them, you got to take them all. So I end up taking like 18 bags, trash bags full of camis and alphas and stuff.
Fuck yeah!
It was freaking awesome. It was back when we had the woodland camis and they were all starched. It was before name tapes, or right at the beginning of name tapes. So I went and
you guys didn't used to wear name tapes?
No, it just said USMC and.
Well, wasn't it stenciled on?
You stenciled it. Sometimes it depended on where you were at. The East Coast, they would stencil it on the back of the trousers, the back of the blouse. When I was here at Camp Pendleton, you had it stamped in your collar and in your trousers. You stamped it on the inside, but it wasn't on the outside.
Yeah. Huh.
And the whole theory was every Marine is as good as another Marine.
Yeah.
So your name is Marine, whatever, right? Sergeant, corporal, whatever. So yeah, I went to the barracks with that stuff. And so the whole platoon, man, got the new alphas, whatever, I forget the name of it, the material, gabardine or whatever it was. Okay. I think it was gabardine. They all got new alphas, and then everybody got their fair share of camis that were already starched and pressed. It was great back then because you could borrow somebody's blouse and didn't have a name on it, Yeah,
you can't do that now.
No, yeah. And it's bad. I think the name tapes are bad. I used to know everybody's name. And then the name tapes came out after the first Gulf War. And then you start relying on the fact that the name is on the person. You don't have to remember their name.
I mean, but in general, I can walk up to someone and be like, oh, that's so-and-so.
I used to be able to do that.
Well, no, I mean, I can walk up to them and be like, they have their name tape on. So
right.
Be like, hey, Lance Corporal Schmuck. I don't have to, hey, what's your name? I already know it.
Yeah, no.
I'm talking about if you're like talking to someone from like another unit or something like that.
Oh, there is some purpose to it. I just didn't like them because I was brought
back
up
in my day.
Yeah, I was brought up in the other one.
Back in my day when I shined my boots.
And I bought into the whole thing. Like, hey, each Marine is just as good as another one. We're all green. We're all Marine. And it was always, hey, Marine. You're in the PX. And you're the one that's fucked up. But they're like, hey, Marine. Oh, they must be talking to someone else. I'm a doc,
Yeah, I'm a corpsman. I don't have to get my haircut. Man. Yeah, that's I'm sure things are... I mean, you were in a time... You were in long enough where you saw a lot of changes in uniforms and gear.
Yeah, the gear changes were the worst.
Unit layouts and everything.
And I'm sure that's changed 10 times. I've only been out 5 years.
ANGLICO, from my understanding, they don't even have salts anymore. It's a different... So the Supporting Arm Liaison Team, which is, for those that don't know, is a subunit of... that's who's inside of... That's the teams inside of ANGLICO. There's a different name for them now. And It's like... I'd have to look it up, but it's like multi-domain something.
See, I'm not a fan of that. And here's why. It's not because I don't think, anything should ever change or, the old way is always the best way. That's not it. I think the whole thing about changing the names is a scam to keep the sign shop open. Mm-hmm. The two old Samoan dudes that work at the sign shop, they're super cool dudes, man. They've been there since the dawn of time. They were there when I was a PFC, But they changed the name of units, and those guys make the signs.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. Like, it costs to change the name of a unit. It probably costs $500,000.
No, really?
I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out there, but you got to change signs and documents, and there's all this stuff. Just leave shit alone.
Maybe $1,000.
Maybe.
It does cost like time to.
I bet you it costs $5,000 to make one of those signs.
Military cost. Probably.
Yeah, it's the government, man. Yeah, they're spending other people's money.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck.
So I'm not a fan of changing the names of things just so somebody could get their MSM or whatever.
Yeah.
Some guy,
Well, I think I want to say the name change came because there's some kind of mission changes that they're going through right now. And with the changing of the mission in like the Pacific and how they're planning on, because they're working through how they're going to fight from these islands and how they're going to fight as small elements on their own. And this doesn't mean just ANGLICO. This is like the Marine Corps in general, which ANGLICO is part of that mission as the observers and stuff. So I think their role in some ways is expanding. And in some ways, I think it's not. Because like right now, tube artillery is being reduced. HIMARS is coming up.
Right.
There's more HIMARS than tube artillery. So I think it's something like that. And I don't know. And if I did know, honestly, I probably wouldn't say much of it on here anyways, just because it's currently what they're doing.
Yeah. And even though I just don't change the names of stuff.
If you don't need to.
Yeah. Unless there's an actual need.
There's something about having the same name for a unit for years. Like when I can go, my grandpa was in this unit and he was on Salt Delta, or something like that.
What was old boy? His dad, his grandfather was his dad and his grandfather were 0331s, and maybe he was in 15, but his lineage was machine gunners, 0331s, World War II, Vietnam, Iraq.
That's pretty cool.
And it was super cool, and I just did the reunion, the 15 Alpha Company. We have our own reunion every year, and it's usually, it was in San Diego, now it's in Texas. Most of the guys have moved there, or a lot of the guys have moved there, and the guys that kind of put it together. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's cool, man. Like,
how many people usually come out to those? Is it a pretty good showing?
It's pretty robust. I was surprised. So I missed the first couple. They were in Vegas. The first guys that put it together, they were out of Vegas, so they put it together in Vegas, and I missed those. And then they had one in San Diego, and the ones in Vegas were just party fests, right? Yeah. So I assume the one in San Diego. So I show up, in Dickies and a flannel, and they're all in suit and tie with.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, it was a dinner, and it was. It was like me and 3 other guys, like the 2 biker dudes, and like 3 other guys that were like
dressed for this.
Yeah, event. Everybody else was in suit and tie, and I'm like, oh shit, it's actually a formal dinner.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then they started doing them in Texas, and it's basically the guys that are really help put it together, and they do a lot of cool stuff, man. Like the year before, they went shooting. The day before, went to the range, went shooting. They went boar hunting, did a bunch of things.
That's cool.
And then this year, they did some hunting, some shooting, a river ride. You ride the tubes down the river. And then we had the actual reunion night at the VFW, and it was packed, dude. It was like wall-to-wall people.
It's good to see, though.
Yeah, it was really cool. And it's really cool. You see, like... there's
a lot of multi-generational stuff,
Yeah, so it originally started off, just the Iraq guys.
Yeah.
And then it kind of expanded to, like, Fallujah, Ramadi, and then OIF 1, 2, and 3. And that's kind of where it's remained. But it's really cool because you see these guys. Sometimes I don't recognize them.
Yeah.
Like, there's guys I'll see, and I'm like, I don't even know who this dude is. Because when I knew him, he was 19 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's 39 or 29.
Yeah.
And he's got a family, and he's gained 50 pounds or lost 50 pounds or whatever.
Yeah. Life has happened.
Yeah. And they got beards and bearded gentlemen. Lots of bearded gentlemen.
That's cool.
Yeah. But it's super cool to see, like, the growth, because you knew them as a kid.
Yeah.
And now they're adults and they own businesses and they it's
becoming really productive members of society. Yeah, that's cool. The Desert Storm era ANGLICO guys just had a reunion out in Missouri. It was like a private reunion for those guys. For like
just the Desert Storm guys
specifically, guys. Yeah, they actually invited me out to it. I wanted to come. Thanks to those that are listening to the podcast. I know a lot of them are listeners. I appreciate the invite. I was unable to make it. I'm just got a lot of life changes happening right now. You know, I'm thinking about moving from here. So I decided, I've said before on the podcast, I was thinking about moving to Indiana. I'm going to stay out here because my kid's going to be out here.
Right.
I thought my kids were going to be coming to Indiana with me. So that's kind of why I was wanting to get out of California, away from the taxes and all the bullshit.
Yeah.
But he's not now. So he's going to stay out here. So I'm staying out here with him.
Well, that's the best choice you could make, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I wasn't going to go back without him.
Yeah, no, it is worth it. You know,
he didn't want to leave his mom out here. That was the, you know, which I didn't want to put him.
Good.
I didn't want to put him in the position of having to choose between parents, and I was like, you know what, I'll pay the fucking extra taxes, and I'll remind him when he's older.
Yeah. Hey, when you're wiping my ass, I'm gonna remind you.
Because I mean,
you're doing that.
I'm paying for a 2-bedroom apartment out here for what I could get a 3 or 4-bedroom house with a little bit of land in Indiana.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just gas prices are crazy. I got gas for $3.99 today.
Ooh, lucky you.
Up in Oceanside, that's the only place, man. That's the cheapest gas.
You go to Liberty Oil?
G&M, right there outside the gate, across from Alfredo's, that burrito place.
Okay. Yeah, there's
that's like the cheapest place in Southern California.
Really?
Dude, I don't think anybody's cheaper. That one and the Montel or Modal, whatever, it's got the green dinosaur.
Yep.
On Oceanside Boulevard? Yeah, yep. That one.
There's one on the corner by my house. It's super cool because that building was there before anything else was there. Mm-hmm. It was just a mission, that building, farmland, and the cemetery.
Okay.
It's called Patriot Gas.
Oh, that old-looking gas station.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, on the corner.
Yeah, on the corner. And those guys are usually pretty good.
It's like a service shop.
Yeah,
right?
So the service shop is its own business. It used to all be one.
Yeah.
And I almost got in a fight with the dude that run the place back then.
See, no one knows what you're talking about because that whole thing about you talking about getting in fights earlier, gone.
Yeah.
All that's gone.
I know. That was terrible.
Damn it. So anyways, you almost got in another fight.
So anyways, the dude, he's an old guy. You know, he run the shop. It was his gas station, and he had the 2 garages or 3 garages. And he made my wife cry because my wife went to get oil for my truck. And he's like, you know, his wife worked the part where you get like your cigarettes and soda pop. Mm-hmm. And she's like, hey, get him some oil. And he was like, I'm not putting good oil in that freaking piece of shit. You know, my wife drove my truck there. And she's like, he almost made me cry. And I'm like, I'm going to go fucking beat that old fucker's ass. So I drive over there. And then I realize, like, he's like 70. You know, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He probably kicked my ass. But I was like, you're being immature here,
Can't
dude.
be fighting old dudes.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, so I had to tell him, hey, dude, you make my wife cry again, I'll burn your fucking store down.
There's the other option.
So, and then he said, you're not welcome here anymore. But that's okay. So now it's a new owner, and they own just the gas station part, and then the shop is separate, and then there's a little smog station. It's another little business. Yeah. But anyways,
you used to be able to go to these places when you'd get like a flat.
Yeah.
And they'd go in there and just plug it real quick.
Yep.
And it'd be like $10-15 to fix a tire. Or you could go in there and get air for free because it's a service shop and they have air.
You can get air for free in California anywhere.
Yeah, I know that. I didn't know that for a long time, though.
No, I didn't know it till some cholo dude told me. I was putting money in the machine. This cholo dude comes up. I'm like, here we go. Getting in another fight.
Getting into a fight.
And he's like, dude, don't pay for that. I said, go inside and tell them.
Yeah.
California air is free, man.
It's California law. I didn't realize that.
I was like,
air and water.
I was like, thanks, bro. I went inside. Like, hey, turn the pump on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's those little things you got to know.
Yeah, you got to know.
Because I did the same thing. I would be paying for it. I think Farrell was the one that actually told me that. He's like, you know, it's free, right? And I'm like, really?
Yeah. Thanks for telling me, man. Whoever that was, I appreciate it.
California's got going for it. Free air.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about that. I mean, I feel for the business because they got to run the compressor. It costs them money to run the compressor, you know, and all that. It costs them money to produce the air. It's not like it's, you know, it's free to them. But they're charging us $4.50 for gas, of which,
dude,
gas out here something like 60 or 70% of it is taxes.
It's so much. California is the worst, man.
Yep,
absolutely the worst. I took a video on Instagram a few weeks back. I was on Coronado Island, and gas was $5.60 a gallon. I'm like, dude, this has got to be the most expensive gas.
What is this, Denmark or somewhere?
They just price people out of even wanting to go over there.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the problem. Well, see, the problem goes all the way back to when the local communities, I don't know if it's the local communities that complained. This is how I heard it, and somebody that knows more can tell us, but gas used to be super cheap on base. Mm-hmm. You know, back when gas was like 90 cents a gallon out in town, it'd be like 79 cents on base. And the way I heard the story was the local communities complained to the DOD, and so they made it the median price of everything around it. Same thing with cigarettes. Cigarettes used to be super cheap on base.
Yeah. And there was a limit, too, so that you weren't buying it and reselling it.
Yeah, exactly. There was a whole process, and now it's
the same price as everywhere.
Yeah.
Gas is the same price as everywhere, and, you know, that's why people that are like, they'll wait in a big-ass line to get gas on base. I'm like, dude, go right out the gate to that G&M. That's literally cheaper.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, that's what they do is they check the local prices all within, like, 2 miles or something like that, and then they average it, and then it's something along those lines.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous because the whole benefit of having those things for the Marines or for the service members is to offset the cost, you know, of being in Southern California or Hawaii or wherever.
Yeah, and to make your small paycheck go a little bit farther.
Yeah, especially for the junior guys.
Yeah.
You know, for the junior guys, it makes a difference.
Because there's no cost of living adjustment in California, which is kind of crazy.
No, but the BAH is pretty awesome for the guys in Southern
but if you live in the barracks, though, that doesn't...
Exactly. And it's for the junior guy. This whole thing was for the junior guy.
Yeah.
You know? But see, that was the problem. The PX used to have home layaway. Huh. Before there was a star card.
Oh, the star card. I never got one of those.
Oh,
that seems like a trap.
It is. It's a freaking trap. I hated it from day one. I hate it to this day.
Well, you probably hated it as a sergeant major having to deal with the people under you that had them because they would call the commands, right?
Yeah, they call the commands, and they have the right to do so, which is jacked up.
Well, it's the mafia. You're involved in the mafia. Then.
Yeah,
it's MCCS like, mafia is going to get their money, bro.
Visa can't call me and tell me to tell Joey to pay his bill, mm-hmm. But Star Card, nah. But see, before there was Star Card, there was home layaway. So you bought your washer and dryer, you took it home, and you paid for it over time, right? And so they wanted to, and this is the problem with asking the junior troops their opinion because they're not experienced. They're young and they want what they want, right?
They're morons in life.
Yes. So they're like, oh, we want the PX to be more like the mall. And the PX used to be pretty awesome, man. It was, you know, cheap, and you could buy, you know, Levi's for half price or the same price you would pay at like Walmart or somewhere like that, and without paying the extra taxes or whatever. And so they asked them, and they came, oh, we want it to be more like the mall, and we want a credit card. And so, hey, we have to give the troops what they want to make it more like real life, like their life. And so they got the Star Card, and now all these young guys are getting boned hard. No. You know, 21% interest payments into the afterlife.
Yeah.
You know, come on, man.
No, I never, when I was a junior Marine, I didn't have any money. I had a kid and a wife, and I refused to go on WIC. I refused to do any of that because I was like, dude, I don't need this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up on food stamps. Like, my mom had food stamps after my parents got divorced and my mom was a single mom. You know, I remember her using food stamps and shit like that. And it was always really embarrassing, you know, for me as a kid. I'm like, man, we're poor.
No,
you know?
I think should be the way it is. But I don't like the EBT card.
No.
I don't like that at all.
Well, my thing is the people that would be at work and they're like, dude, you're not on WIC. You need to get on WIC. You need to get the food stamps. You need to get... Those same dudes are driving like nicer cars and newer cars. And I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be on it. Like, why are you taking money when you don't need it?
Or just, why are you being weak?
And there's the people that'll say, like, if anyone deserves benefits, military members deserve it. I get it and stuff like that. But to me, I'm like, I don't want a handout from the government at all. Like, fuck them. I don't want the money. You know, in that kind of situation, it's like, I can afford the stuff that I need, and that just means I'm going to have to save for the stuff that I want.
And that's part of the character building. That's probably why you're successful now. I
was in the same car, a Toyota Celica, which is a little tiny 2-door car which was my ex-wife's car at the time. And we drove that car until I was a sergeant, until I got back from Iraq, my first deployment, and then I bought an SUV. But for that first 3 years, I was driving this little tiny Celica, and then when we would want to go home to Indiana for like a visit on leave, we would drive from North Carolina to Indiana in this tiny Celica with me, her, the kid, 2 dogs, and all the stuff we needed for a week. And it's like, I'm not gonna, because I don't want to like be in this massive debt, and I don't want to I just don't want shit from the government, man.
Well, yeah, it's make your own way. So
for sure,
I understand that there are people that need those benefits, right?
For sure, yeah,
yeah, and I completely understand
temporary.
That. Yes,
to get you out of a bind.
I think it was Ben Franklin that said people should be made uncomfortable in their poverty.
Well, the British used to have poorhouses.
Well, so uncomfortable in their poverty, so that they want to do better.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I'm not a fan of EBT card, because there's no embarrassment to using a card. Everybody uses a card. So there's no like taking taking them out of the book and paying for them. And some people that wouldn't matter.
Embarrassing though. You shouldn't have to like.
Well, no, the people that
be in an embarrassing thing.
Well, the people that need it, hey, you know what? It's all good, right?
But how do you discern from those people when you're just standing in line?
Right. So that's why I kind of think it should be a slightly embarrassing. So the people that don't need it are embarrassed. Maybe they're not. Maybe they don't have any care. The people that do need it, maybe it gives them a little kick to try harder, or to change some decisions in their life, or whatever. And some people, they're just, I mean, it's kind of like the homeless thing, right? You got people that are on the street because of drugs, alcohol, mental problems. Yeah. And you got people that are on the streets because they're morons. Oh, my parents won't let me stay with them. Yeah, because you're a fucking moron, dude. Mm-hmm.
You fucked up too many times, bro.
Yeah, so
my like you, and I'm sure like a lot of Southern California people, your feelings for homeless people have probably changed over the years, just because you've seen that many of them aren't the helpless, people that they're made out to be. Like, they're in a hard spot, they just lost their job, and now they're homeless. Most of these people are fucking crackheads that are drug addicts. Yeah, and then there's a lot of mental cases.
Yeah.
And then you just start walking by them like they're just another piece of the landscape.
And that's, I pray for them every time I go by. I'm like, hey, God bless them, deliver them from whatever they're addicted to or whatever. But yeah, there's that whole thing. Like, okay, so mental illness, that's not their fault.
That's not their fault, for sure.
Yeah, they didn't. But of course, we don't have what we had before, like the place where you put the crazy people.
Yeah.
And that's
apparently that's Reagan's fault.
Yeah,
I guess Reagan got rid of that.
I'm kind of weird about that because I'm a big Reagan fan.
Yeah,
and I understand his thought process behind it.
That like the state shouldn't be saying you're crazy and we're going to lock you up.
Yeah,
so they could lock anybody up for any reason.
Right. So I get that part of it, but I do think it is inhumane to leave a mentally unstable person on the street.
It's crazy.
It's inhumane. It's not right. Like, or even a drug addict. I mean, yes, you chose to do drugs. You got addicted to drugs, and there are choices, right? Mm-hmm. But it's inhumane to leave that person on the street in squalor because what? Why? Why are you doing that?
Why is it? Why why is it inhumane, or why are we allowing them to do that?
Yeah, why?
Or are you saying why is he laying in the street?
No, why is society, the government, whomever, Christian organizations, but it all goes back to the whole dependence on the government thing.
Yeah, that's part of it.
So before there were these things provided by the government, Christian organizations provided it. The churches provided it,
and still do.
And they still do.
They're actually the majority of all donations are through religious organizations.
And that's how it should be. The government shouldn't be the catch-all, be-all. Because you can't trust those clowns.
I'm pretty sure about that fact.
Yeah. I mean, you can't trust. You can't. Yeah, the government is full of morons and idiots. I think we talked about it earlier, but it probably didn't pick it up.
We probably lost.
Yeah, but...
Damn it. We lost so much good stuff.
I know.
So with the homeless people, though, you know, what's crazy is you can see someone and go, that's a newly homeless person. And they're probably in a rough spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you're around them, you kind of get to know, like, who's who.
Yeah, you can tell
And then you see the people that are in the exact same spot every day, and they're not getting a job. They're just, this is their job. This corner, this one spot is their spot. And they will be there every day holding a sign.
So let me tell you a story. So when I got orders to Portland, so Portland tricks you, man. So we went up there in August to do a turnover, you know, kind of a thing, right? I'd have to be there till October.
Was this I&I?
Yeah, I&I duty. Oh,
okay.
Man.
Which is like the reservist. Active duty at a reserve station,
yeah.
for those that don't know.
Overseeing the reservists, helping them do what...
What's I&I?
Inspector instructor. Your job is to make sure the reservists are able to do their
training,
part.
Their
yeah.
stuff.
And you're there as a support element to them. Yeah. A lot of I&I people feel that they are the ones running the show, and you are, because you're running it day to day.
Yeah.
But you're running it
on their behalf.
Are
you so with an I&I duty station, when they deploy, does the I&I staff deploy or do they stay back?
They usually stay back in our case, but I had the largest I&I in the country.
Where's that? Oh, Portland.
Yeah. So 7th ESB, and so there's
That's
units.
the largest I&I in the country?
Yeah, there's units all over the country.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as Philadelphia all the way to Oregon.
Yeah, there's reserve spots everywhere.
And so engineer units, you got bridge company and boat fuel, all this stuff. Anyways, so when they deployed by need. We need bridge company in Iraq. We need, or whatever.
Hey, we need 30 mechanics. We need 30 bulk fuel specialists, and we need this many.
Yeah.
That's how it was when I was with Maintenance Battalion.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it works. But anyways, I get to Portland. It's August. It's their summer. Mm-hmm. It's freaking gorgeous. You can smell the flowers. It's gorgeous. Everything, right? And I'm like, this place is awesome.
I've never been to Portland.
So Portland, the city is kind of a shithole. But at the time I was there, it was the number two or number one most independent restaurants per capita in the country.
That makes sense.
And cool places, man. There was like a Cuban joint, like 2 tables, little tiny Cuban joint, just all this cool food all over the place. What do you want to do?
Culture, yeah.
Yeah, I want Cuban food. I want Mexican food. I want, Okinawan food. I want Japanese food, whatever. I want the soup guy, all this stuff. So anyways, we get there, and the plan was I'd take one car up there, leave it at the I&I, and then we take the train back. That's another good fight story on the train back. So take the train back, and then we drive up in the other car when when it's time for me to be there. And there's a girl at one of the intersections downtown, and she's got a sign, and it says, "Pregnant, need my insulin." All right, so this is August, right? We do our thing, we come back, and get there in like late October, and she's still there, right? Pregnant, need my insulin. There's another lady at the off-ramp where I had bought a place, and she's, on the side of the road asking for money or whatever. I'm there 2.5 years. Pregnant, needs insulin. Same spot.
Same sign.
Same sign. 2.5 years. Now, the other lady, because she was right at my off-ramp where I would get off and go to my house, right? She started off just asking for money. And then later on, she was selling bottles of water. And then she was selling flowers and water. And she had a tent. And so this off-ramp, you get stuck. There's a stoplight at the bottom of the off-ramp. Yeah. So I would start talking to her. Like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. She goes, yeah, I'm almost, I got my tent, and I almost have enough money for an apartment, and this and that. So I'm always thinking, don't give me your sob story. You're a freaking scammer, right? But I would always buy something from her.
You were watching her.
I'm watching her
life
grow.
Back.
Yeah. So she's selling water, and then she's selling water and flowers and soda. Then she has a tent. Then, and she had a dog this whole time, right? So one time I'm there for an extended period of time. It's one of those long lights. And I'm like, what happens? Oh, yeah, my ex-boyfriend, husband, whatever, beat the shit out of me. And I'm like, I'm fucking out. I don't care if I have to live on the streets, whatever. Mm-hmm. And by the time I left, she wasn't there anymore. But she had gone from selling, she wasn't asking for money. Yeah. Initially she did. But by the time I left, she was selling stuff on the side of the off-ramp and stuff you needed. Yeah. It was water, it was flowers for the wife, whatever. She had different things, sometimes she'd have... She
was hustling. She was out there grinding.
She was making it happen.
Yeah.
And I watched her go from a little, like single man
That's what you want to see.
Yeah, and I was like, so I always bought something from her. And she could have been scamming me, I don't know, but she did a good job of it because eventually I didn't see her. So...
What about pregnant and insulin? Did you
She was still there.
She was still there.
Yep. She was there. So my replacement, I went to ANGLICO, but my replacement, I told him, hey, can you come out, And he wasn't able to make it, but I was planning, like showing him around the city, hey, this is the best way to get to the reserve center. It was kind of down in an industrial complex. It was, there's some tricks to it. And I'm like, so I was planning it. And the last week before I left, and there she is, pregnant with insulin, needs her insulin. Like, I've been here 2.5 years.
Like, are you staying pregnant? Oh,
yeah, I'm not buying it.
That's when you stop feeling bad for it. But the passerby that comes through like once a month or once a week or whatever, maybe sees her and like, oh man, that sucks. But they're not like you, where they see that same person there day in and day out, month after month, and it's like, dude, at this point, that you're basically doing what a job does. You're in the same place every day for a certain amount of hours. Go get a job. It's the same thing. And it's
terrible. You're standing. It's Portland. You're getting rained on. People are throwing shit at you.
That's what I've heard.
There was a guy
throwing shit at you.
There was a guy.
Oh my gosh.
At one of the other on ramps, leaving the reserve area. Right. Vietnam vet, need money, whatever. Right. He was like 30. What were you, a bugle boy?
Yeah.
You play the drum and the fife,
I always question the homeless military guys. I'm like, I've said this. I think I've said this on the podcast before, and I've said it on other podcasts that I've been on. But homeless veterans are one of the groups that I feel the least sorry for, only because we have more resources than anybody else in the country. Any other group becomes homeless, it'll be pretty tough. It'll be tough for veterans also. Yeah. However, there's literally a VA like homeless reach, hotline, call them. There's housing options, but as well as I do, most people are homeless and don't go to shelters because then they have to abide by the rules of the shelters. Which is sobriety, be in by a certain time, and stuff like that. And they're like, fuck that, I'll just go live on the corner. I don't have to follow these rules.
Yeah, and I want to do my drugs. So that was so the sheriff of Multnomah County, which is the county north of Portland in Washington. Mm-hmm. I met him at an event. I'm I&I, and we're doing whatever event. And I met him, and we became friends. I'm talking to him. He was a former sheriff. He wasn't with them anymore. He was a retired guy. But anyways, I'm like, hey, what's the deal, man? Why you got all these homeless people around here? I mean, if I'm homeless, I'm walking south, dude. The weather sucks up there. I'm walking south.
I get why people come to San Diego to be homeless.
I mean, I'm homeless. I don't have anything. I'm going south. I'm going where there's sunshine.
I might as well hang out on the beach.
But he said, well, the first problem is they had a needle exchange program.
Yeah.
And then they had and I said, well, you got shelters and stuff. He goes, yeah, we're at 40% capacity. When he retired, they were at 40% capacity.
Yeah.
I asked why. You got all these people on the street. He goes, because they don't want to follow the rules. You got to be in by 9 o'clock. You got to be out by 8 in the morning. They clean the place during the day and sterilize or whatever.
Yeah.
And you got to be sober. Now, I'm a big fan of that because you have to force people to be successful.
But we're giving them the option of not doing that. Be like, well, if you don't want to follow these rules, then you can just stay on the street.
Yeah.
But then it's like, how much of that do you want to put up with?
And so, so you're kind of in between. Like, hey, it is true in anything in life. You got to force people to be successful. Very few people are like you that are going to go get it on their own. That are going to go. Very few people are like that.
I don't get it, man. I don't know how you can sit there and wall. I mean, I see these fucking encampments. Like I said, I go downtown, and this was probably lost also when I was earlier talking about going downtown all the time.
Yeah.
I go downtown, and I see the homeless people that live downtown, and it's like, and there's certain areas where it's bad, where you're talking like the entire block is homeless people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, man, like, how can you live in that situation and be okay with it? Like, how good is fucking meth? Like, is it that good where you're cool with this?
I don't. In their defense, I don't think it's that good.
I will also say that when I said earlier that I feel the least sorry for homeless veterans, there's obviously veterans that are put in a bad situation and get, you know, I'm talking about the people that willingly choose to be on the streets.
No,
they're not
yeah, I am
taking advantage
too.
of the programs. They're not taking advantage of all the resources that are
No,
out there.
I'm with you. I'm only talking to people that are willingly.
If you're struggling
do this.
but you're trying, then I feel bad for you. I bought food for people. I bought coffee for people. But if I saw like the girl pregnant insulin girl, I wouldn't buy her coffee. If I seen her in the same spot for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I know how long it takes to make a baby, and it ain't that long.
You know who you don't see sitting on corners? Illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
You never see an illegal, like a Mexican person sitting on the corner. It's always like dudes like me, like white dudes.
Nope.
And this is, people are going to be like, I can't believe he's calling out white dudes.
Yep. Hey,
it's not even
the only Mexicans you see on the corner, they're selling oranges.
These fucking people.
They're making it happen.
A lot of these people come over here and go to work, man. And it's like, how can you be sympathetic for someone younger than me that's in their 30s, 20s, and able-bodied, they're just out begging for money rather than getting a job. It's like, dude, people are out there grinding to make a living, to make a life, and you're just here looking for a handout.
Yeah, my brother-in-law was asking me that a couple months ago. He's like, I don't get how, you know, an average guy with a wife and a kid, living in an apartment, working a entry-level job, makes it in Southern California.
Barely.
Yeah, and I too, but they do it.
Yeah.
You know, because they're striving for something better. Now, I do give addicts some, I guess, grace, because addiction, and I'm not a big, like, addiction's a disease and woe's me, cry, cry, cry. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
But I do understand that the addiction can force people to do things that are contrary to their success.
Yeah.
And so, and there's the conundrum, like, where's the medium? I do believe that, hey, we should hardcore, freaking tough love. You know, that's the whole...
Personal responsibility.
You got to be sober if you want to sleep inside.
Yeah.
You want to sleep out there with the bugs and the animals, on you, man. So there's some tough love. Granted, like homeless vets, you know how to make a hooch.
I was going to say, I think another reason why you see homeless veterans is it's not that uncomfortable for them.
I know.
They're like, I know how to do this.
Yep, I can make a hooch. I can be totally comfortable in the most... Give me a bed of rocks.
I need a simple life to live.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I don't need anything.
I don't need much. I don't want much.
Yeah, it's just, man, it's such a problem, dude. It's such a problem down here, and it's unfortunate because, like, the park, like, I used to take my kid over, you know, in the mornings. I work from home. So during the summertime when my kid was here basically every day, and during COVID when he was on school online, well, to get out of the house, I go over to Balboa Park multiple times a week, or I go downtown multiple times a week because I'm right here.
Right.
And so I just want to be outside. And there's a piece of Balboa Park actually right in front of the old Veterans Memorial Building.
The old chapel? Is it the old chapel?
I don't know if it's a chapel or not. It's by the zoo. It's right by
Okay, no, we're not talking about the same place.
it's by the parking lot for the zoo. But we used to go over there, and there's a big ass... It's got a big ass fucking open field in the front of this big ass building and stuff like that. We'd I'd take my dog over there and we'd walk and throw the ball or whatever and hang out. And there's like a big ass tree, and my kid would always, we'd try to climb the tree and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool stuff.
And we can't even do that anymore because now there's a homeless camp underneath the tree.
Yeah, so that's what I'm not a fan of.
It's like, dude, like there's spaces where I was walking downtown 2 days ago, or not 2 days ago, on Saturday, and in Little Italy, there was some kind of art festival thing. They had like 3 blocks, like city blocks, blocked off for all kinds of artwork and like all this stuff. People were selling shit and everything. I didn't know all that was going on, so I was parked down the road, and I was just walking down to shoot photos. And I'm walking, I go by this one corner, and there's this homeless dude, completely naked, dick hanging out, fucking laying on his back, passed out, stretched out in the sun. And I'm like, man, I wonder if he's even alive. You know what I'm saying? But people are just and it's like 1 block away from the art thing. So everybody's just kind of walking by this guy.
Yeah.
And we've become so used to it. I guarantee not one of these people called the police to see if he's okay or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I feel for them, but I also think we live in a civil society. We need to help them be civil.
Yeah.
You know?
What's the end state, though? I mean, at what point does the personal responsibility, like...
Yeah, and
you don't think we're doing enough to help them right now? And part of the problem, too, is also homelessness in California is a fucking industry. There's a lot of people making money off the homeless industry in California.
Follow the dollars, man. It's always follow the dollars. And that irks me because I do care about these people. You know, they are human beings. They deserve dignity. But they have to earn it. You got
to care about yourself a little bit.
Right. You don't deserve anything just because. You know how people always say, I deserve a break. You don't deserve shit. You earn a break. I'm teaching my granddaughter. They had some trouble getting her to school on time, so I'm trying to catch her up so she'll be ready to go to school. And, you know, you got to start with the alphabet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, she'll say that kind of stuff. I deserve a break. No, you don't. You earn a break. Finish 2 more worksheets, you know. Yeah. But I'm super gentle about it. Obviously, she's a little girl.
Yeah.
But I've seen, and I'm no teacher by any means. I just use the regular boot camp Marine Corps stuff. You know, repetition is the mother of all learning. We're gonna do it.
That's the truth.
I'm gonna watch until I can see you're not into it anymore, and then I'm gonna change. You know, hey, you know what? We're going outside. Grab your chalk. We're going outside. We're gonna draw letters on the sidewalk.
Oh, so yeah, at least you make it fun.
Yeah, you got to change things up. Or here's a cool one, man. She learned the alphabet, right? So I made little flashcards, all the letters and shit. I'll throw them up in the air, bounce them off the ceiling, and just scatter all over the room. 52 card pickup.
Yeah.
All right, pick them all up and put them in order. Find me the A. You know, and she gets to run around the room, find the A, and now find the B, and some are upside down. Yeah. What's up? But yeah, but even the kids got that. I deserve a break, you know. Or there's a thing that they wanted to do with frustration button. I need a frustration button so when I get frustrated, I can push it and we can take a break. No, that's not how it works. You know how it works? You gut through frustration.
Yeah.
You gut through it to the end.
You sit there until the assignment's done.
Yeah, and that's because here's what people don't get, and it pisses me off to no end. My personal opinion. Somebody probably have some other opinion, but they're wrong. Anyways, you're not teaching children to be good children. You're teaching children to be good adults, to be successful adults.
Yeah, for sure.
So you teach them to gut through 2 more pages of writing your letters, which is boring shit.
But it's not going to kill you.
No, it's not going to hurt you. It's not physically damaging or mentally. 2 more pages of writing your letters, and then we're going to go ride bikes. But if you don't get through 2 pages of writing letters, we'll just sit here until you do.
Yeah.
Because you got to gut through it, because that's what real life is.
Yeah.
When somebody goes to work, I don't care. They work at Walmart. They're stocking shelves. I got 4,400 bottles of whiskey to put on the shelf. That seems like a lot of bottles.
Yeah.
Until you get to $43.99. Mm-hmm. You know? But you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it till you get it.
Because that's the job, yeah.
And because the success isn't... You get the success when you get done. Some of it is the journey, obviously. If you're driving the bus, the success is in the journey. Did I get there?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You gotta prep people for reality of life.
Yeah, and you're trying to train them to be good adults.
Yeah. And
same thing with homeless people. You're trying to help them to be good adults, to be successful parts of society so that they can be happy with themselves. It's not about you. Mm-hmm. Oh, look, I helped the homeless. I gave them all free. Like, I don't give money to them.
No, never.
And it guts me sometimes, but I'm like, yeah, you're not helping them. You're actually hurting them by giving them money.
I've honestly lost almost all feeling towards homeless people just because of being around so many of them.
Yeah, that does taint you, I'm sure.
When I go So when I'm not walking like downtown, there's a stretch by the harbor that I'll go walk. That's like a 4 mile back, down and back. And the initial part of it is just all homeless people that camp there overnight. And it's like the first couple times I'm like, oh man, kind of feel bad just walking by them, and you feel like you should say something.
Yeah, you don't want to make eye contact, but you do want to be polite.
Yeah. And then now I just don't even care. Because I'm like, dude, you don't care enough to get off your ass. I mean, especially when I see the same dudes. Well, this is like your house as the homeless guy.
Especially now, because there's no place I've walked into that doesn't say we're hiring.
For sure.
I mean, every place.
Every place is hiring.
Walmart was advertising $18.50 an hour for night stalkers.
Man.
So you're going to work the midnight shift. Hey, that's the coldest part of the night. Hey, work the midnight shift and go sleep in your tent during the day when it's warm out, whatever, $18.50 an hour plus benefits? Come on, man.
And that's a start to something else.
Yeah. And that's,
you become good at that. Then you become the night manager. Or then you become the store manager.
Yeah.
Or then you become the regional manager. You got to start somewhere for a career.
Next thing you know, you're starting your own company.
A lot of younger people nowadays are pissed because they're not rich. They don't have all the stuff. They see all the stuff their parents have. And, why don't I have this? And it's like, bitch, your parents worked to buy a house.
Dude.
Your parents did all these things. You can't just fall into a career that makes 6 figures and shit. You have to start as the bottom guy.
Yeah.
It's just like the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Everyone starts out as the private. All the enlisted guys. You all start out as a fucking private or PFC, like cleaning toilets. Doesn't matter what your job is. You're cleaning fucking toilets. You're taking trash out. You're the janitor for the unit in addition to all your other jobs.
Yep. And you got to be a good rifleman.
Yeah. Because you got to start at that bottom level.
And that's the whole thing. We talked earlier before when the sound cut out about promotions.
Yeah.
I believe when I left the Marine Corps, they were way too fast. By the time I was a staff sergeant, I was in 12 years. I was 12 years and I was a staff sergeant.
Yeah.
So, and I had been a sergeant for 6.
Well, I mean, obviously it depends on the MOS.
But you grow.
Yeah.
When I first got promoted to sergeant, I know for a fact I wasn't a good sergeant. I was a good corporal.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a good sergeant.
So I used to think, after getting out and kind of thinking about it a little bit, I used to remember while I was in, people would be like, oh, look, the Army has staff sergeants that are squad leaders because they don't trust their sergeants or their corporals, whatever, can't do it. So their lower rank people or their higher rank people have lower billets. And I used, we all be like, ha ha ha, they're not as capable as our guys because we have platoon sergeants.
Yeah, we got Lance Corporal's in charge of shit.
Sometimes. And we look at that as a point of pride. And we're like, fuck yeah, like we're doing more. And then, after being out and kind of thinking about it, I'm like, man, why don't we have staff sergeants as squad leaders? And not for the fact that they're a staff sergeant, but we're giving them so much responsibility. Why not pay them accordingly?
I think it's...
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's a different TO setup.
Well, I got that, but I'm saying like the pay-wise, like that's cool. It's only cool for them because they're actually getting more pay sooner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're like a squad leader in the Marine Corps, you're probably a corporal.
But when you're a corporal in the Army or a specialist, you're just another Lance Corporal. When you're a corporal in the Marine Corps, you're somebody. You know?
Okay. I get that. I get that. But but as a corporal there, you're getting paid.
Yeah, but it's not
basically every rank is down two ranks.
One. But it's not about not about, and that's where the confusion comes in. So personally, I don't think it's about the money.
Well, I mean responsibility wise, it's down like 2 ranks from like the Marines.
Yeah. So but it's not about the money. And that's where I think the different mindsets are.
Yeah.
So when I was I was on the committee when we made SOI a special duty. And so we're sitting at this big table in the chow hall, and you got the general and, his sergeant major and all these guys from headquarters Marine Corps, special dudes, whatever. And they're all talking about the special duty pay. And I'm like, that's not what it, and so I says, I'm a young staff sergeant, gunny. I'm like, hey, that's not what it's about. It's about making the SOI instructor more professional. So let's put the money to the side, because they're all talking about, well, in the budget, the money. Put that to the side. And let's talk about developing a school. So an instructor comes here, he goes to school, he becomes a professional instructor.
Yeah.
You know, he becomes versed or well-versed in all the things he's got to teach. You know, that's what's important. And then if we attain that, then we can ask Headquarters Marine Corps for the extra uniform pay or whatever it is that they were. But nobody could get out of that. We have to pay them more to be better. No, you don't have to pay them more to be better. I know the guy.
Well, you
the
don't
guy
have
that works,
to, but you know.
But that's you got to change their mind.
You got to think about retainment too, though.
Yeah, retention is
retention.
Yeah, and I never was a big. We had great retention.
Yeah.
Like when Alpha 1-5, we had the #1 retention in the regiment.
Yeah.
You know, in one company, we had more reenlistments than anybody else in the whole regiment. But that wasn't the goal. I didn't work retention. I worked it, obviously. That was my job. But I worked the intangibles, the bigger part of it. You are going to do great things. And I know I have confidence in you. And I also I was never a big fan of let's promote him and see how he does.
Yeah.
No. Let's see how he does. Then we'll promote him.
Yeah, you got to earn that.
Yeah.
Well, there's
the
a
real
lot.
world.
There's a lot of people nowadays. You know, on my way out, they're just they're afraid to write anything bad about somebody on a fit rep. So you have these morons that continue to get promoted because officers and stuff don't want to say anything bad about them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I do like. I don't know what format they use now, but the format of the fit rep when I left the Marine Corps, when I retired, was, you know, you had the boxes, right? And it was super easy because you just read the box, and if the dude was in that box, you checked that box, and then the score kind of filled itself in.
Yeah. But every officer had their own formula. They're like, I'll never give someone a fucking this or a this.
Yeah, and that's not. It's super easy if you just follow. Some really smart dudes wrote this stuff and figured it out, right?
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, just follow the formula. And then, obviously, if you know the guy has moral issues or whatever, you mark the box appropriate to that.
But some people aren't going to do that because Staff Sergeant, I'm Captain so and so, Staff Sergeant so and so. You know, you work with them every day. They're basically your friend.
No, I get that because
and it's like, and they're like, I'm not going to do that to the guy.
Right.
You don't think that happens a lot?
I think it does happen a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's the majority.
On officers, too. Officers and staff NCOs.
And there's all the who's a friend with who and all that.
It's very political when you start going up a little bit higher.
And I get it. Because I forget the kid's name. We NJP'd him for DUI. Freaking crushed me, man. He was a mover and shaker. I was like, there is no, I just, I
kind of had to do it. Doing it because I have to do it.
Yeah, it was, hey, I'm going to keep marching forward, but this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
If I could have not, but we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I get that. It's human nature. You want to do, this guy's loyal, man. I believe in him. And he fucked up, and now I got to hold him accountable, and he's not going to continue as a Marine. His career is over. Mm-hmm.
I can see what you're saying earlier about some promotions being too fast. There's definitely an argument to slow down promotions, and some MOSs specifically because they promote so fast because no one stays in. So you have to have sergeants, you have to have staff NCOs. So it's just But the shitty part about that is if you're like, let's say you were an assaultman in the Marine Corps, the odds of you making corporal in 4 years is probably pretty slim.
Right.
Whereas me, even being slowed down because I was like motor T for a little bit, but as soon as I got promoted, or as soon as I lat moved and got promoted to sergeant, I made sergeant in under 4 years. Imagine me being like just a motor T guy or whatever. I don't like the fact that like a dude that's basically done nothing can go up to someone and tell them what to do just because they outrank them, whereas the other dude is actually probably a more legit like Marine or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it's tough because that whole thing is kind of complicated in itself, like different MOSs and needs. But I am a fan of the slow promotion because I know my staff sergeant when I was a PFC was a Vietnam vet. Mm-hmm. So they knew everything. And they were drunken assholes. They were fucking party animals like every single day. But my first sergeant was a Vietnam vet, and he kept whiskey in his drawer at work. But that dude knew everything.
Yeah.
There was nothing, but he had been in for 25 years.
Yeah.
So something that always embarrassed me, as a staff NCO, was when a sergeant would talk to like the CO and not have his shit together. Dude,
sure.
You're a 4-year sergeant.
Because it makes you look bad.
Yeah, you don't know shit about shit, and you're making an ass of yourself. Like, you think because he's an officer, he's stupid. He's not.
Yeah.
One time we get on ship, right? And it's Captain Ortiz at the time. He's a company commander. I'm the first sergeant. And they can't find some piece of gear. You know how you get on ship and they put everything in the armory and they count it all.
Yeah.
And then once everything's accounted for, everybody can get off the ship, go see their family and all that, right?
Yeah.
So for 2 hours, I give these guys space, right? Like, they can't get the count right. There's some PEC 4 or whatever it is. I don't know. Some piece of gear, they can't get it right. So I go down there. And they're going through the serial numbers and doing their thing. It's me and the CO.
That is the most annoying thing in the world.
And so Captain Ortiz is like, well, how many of this thing do we have? And they're attached to another piece of gear. So there's 2 counts, right? Mm-hmm. There's it's kind of like a 203. 203 and M16, 2 different counts, blah, 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 right? And they're like, well, and they're reading. I'm like, stop. Just lay them all down and count them. Count the item we're looking for. Don't read every single serial number. Just count the item.
Yeah.
So we count the item, and the count is correct.
But it probably got traded. It could have gotten traded with somebody else.
So now I'm like, okay, now we know we're supposed to have 21 of them or whatever. And then the CO's like, now we know we have our 21. Let's let these boys get off the ship and go see their families. And you guys can figure out that all the serial numbers are correct. Because at 99.9%, and then the sergeant's like, no, sir, that's not how it works. He's like, oh, I'm the fucking CO. And I'm like, hey, bitch, shut the fuck up.
Literally his gear.
That's the fucking boss. He said, let him go. We're going to turn in the count. And then I will sit here with you while you read serial numbers. And, of course, the one kid always transposes a number, and you got to go back through it. I'm like, dude, it's not hard, man. Hey, how many rifles were you supposed to have? 56. Count 56 muzzles. Okay, how many 203s?
Yeah.
33. Count 33 203s. All right. If we got it mixed up with someone else, then we'll figure that shit out.
Because they're going to have it too.
Yeah, because they got 33 and their boys are already on the pier with their family. So obviously we'll figure this shit out. It's not the end of the world.
That's one of those things too at the end of the deployment. You just want to get the fuck off.
But we were leaving.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. You're leaving. You got families on the pier. Everybody's on the ship. They can't get off. We're the only ones that can't get off.
Oh.
I'm like, bullshit, man. But that sergeant was like, no, sir, you don't tell him how shit works, bitch.
He literally signed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his shit.
Yeah.
What's that called? The monthly inventory you have to do all that? Oh,
God. CMR?
No. It's the CMR. That's his.
That's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. But there's of just the weapons.
Yeah.
There's always a staff NCO or officer that gets assigned that has to count every piece of serialized gear.
Yeah.
In the unit. And it's like, when you find out it's you, you're like, damn it.
Damn it.
Especially if you're in a unit like ANGLICO, which has a fucking million of everything.
On different little thingies.
And one-off things that, we had beacons, we got
weird shit that's connected to other shit.
Weird optics that people don't have.
Yeah, this microphone and this nut are married. Yeah. There's a parent-child relationship.
And it's serialized, so it makes you have a identifier.
Yeah, and there's 3 numbers. There's this, that, and then there's the number of their joined togetherness.
I think I don't know, doing that so much, we have to get the count, we have to get the serial number, it makes people almost lackadaisical about it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because I guarantee the armorer does not check every serial number and stuff before he walks out of the armory.
Nope.
There's no way that dude does that. But that's okay, though, because it doesn't make any sense to.
He looks at the racks, and if every rack is full, he knows he has all his rifles.
Yeah.
So I learned that when I was a sergeant. I had a staff sergeant come off the drill field, and I would do the serial number every single, when you kept weapons in the barracks overnight or whatever, and you put them in a room and lock it, put a fire watch on it or whatever, because you're going back out at 03, and I would do it by serial number, right? And this guy comes, he's a staff sergeant, he comes from the drill field. He's like, what the fuck is your problem, bitch? This shit takes forever. Count them. We had 50 cals, Mark 19s, it was a heavy machine gun platoon.
Yeah.
And he's like, count them. Count barrels.
Yeah.
Count receivers. Count this, count that, count this, count that. And I'm like, holy shit. He's right. We're the only platoon that's putting our shit in there,
Yeah.
So if I'm supposed to have 48 rifles and I got 48 rifles, I probably got the right 48 rifles.
Probably.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to check those serial numbers. We had a kid at 210 who lost his gas mask, I guess, and then found it, and then went to go check out, and it wasn't his gas mask. It was his roommate's gas mask. So then his roommate, so he was still missing his. So now his roommate found his, who he thought he was missing one.
Oh, shit.
So it was this whole, and then the one kid never found it. And we're like, what the fuck, dude?
And yeah, there is a time for that.
Yeah.
But it isn't when you're in Okinawa at Camp Schwab.
Waiting to go see your family.
Yeah, at midnight or whatever.
Yeah,
and you're just throwing weapons in a room in the barracks, and you're going to go back out in 3 hours. That's not the time for it. The time is, another time.
When you're doing that monthly inventory.
Exactly.
That makes you want to off yourself when you find out you're the one that has to do it.
Well, it's not so hard if you have intelligent people in the armory.
Well, it's just a hassle because it takes an entire day.
Yeah.
Depending on how big your CO's like serialized gear list is, it's a fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I need to make another hit goal.
Well, let's just end it, man. We've actually been talking for 4 hours.
Oh shit!
Almost. It's I don't know what time it is. Oh, it's 6:30. We've been talking for a while. We lost a lot because at solid hour.
Every time I touch the mic, I freak out and look at the little line.
Oh yeah, you're good. We got the first 15 minutes, so the people out there, you guys missed out on a really good conversation. But I'm still glad we had it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to return to some of those subjects because I was interested in your perspective. We're different generations, obviously.
For sure. Oh, like living in the barracks?
The barracks, just different perspectives on the intangibles and what's important and what's not. I was interested in that, and it, not that it changed my mind, but it opened my mind to
how other people are looking at it.
Yeah, and I always know how other people are looking at it wrong. But anyways.
Of course, everyone's wrong.
Yes.
Do you want to shout out anything? Or you?
Oh yeah.
You got the Camp Pendleton Surf Club shirt on. Is that a thing?
Yeah. So these dudes are super cool, man. They.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
So it was popular in the '90s. It kind of went away for a while. I think when the war started, it kind of died off.
People got too busy.
Yeah, people got busy. And then I saw I ran into some guy at Del Mar. I was surfing Del Mar, which I'll never surf again. That's where I broke my back.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll have to tell you that story, man. It was a freaking disaster.
I bet.
But anyways, I ran into a guy there. He's like, hey, why don't you come to Santa Fe next week? We're having a meeting, Anyways, I joined the club. But they get active duty or retirees or whatever. They get military people into surfing. Do a lot of charity work with wounded vets.
That's cool.
A lot of mental recovery type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because surfing is kind of one of those, I don't know, hippie soul surfer things.
It's a good vibe when you're out there.
Yeah.
Like when you paddle out and you're just kind of chilling out in the water, it's a fucking cool feeling.
Yeah, it's a workout. So it's physically
it's
demanding.
definitely a workout.
Yep, physically demanding. You have to be mentally on your game, and then other people are out there and they're like, yeah, go for it, man, take that wave. Oh, that was awesome, and like, oh, it kind of sucked. He's like, no, you just drag your left foot a little bit more or whatever. A lot of things that refer to the military, at least because I'm hanging out with a military group.
Yeah.
But a lot of things are like military, the camaraderie type
good
thing.
Community stuff.
Yeah, and it gets guys into it. So yeah, Pendleton Surf Club. It's the Pendleton Surf Club at Pendleton Surf Club, Instagram.
I'll check that out.
They're on the, you can use whatever search engine to get to them. And then
what do you got there?
I made a list. I made a list because I always forget, and I always feel bad.
A list of what? Oh, people or organizations?
Yeah, people, because you always ask, hey, you want to promote anything? And I'm always like, yeah, whatever. Because I don't. Anyways, Texas Patriot Towing. So that's one of my former Marines, platoon sergeant in Iraq. 210-717-3293. Put that shit in your phone. If you're in the San Antonio area, you're going to need it one day. Just put it in your phone, and then you'll have it when you need it. You won't have to look it up. Texas Patriots Towing. So he started off working for somebody else, as a tow truck guy.
Yeah.
So and started his own company. And
that's good stuff.
Yeah, him and the boys come out like once a year. They come out and stay at the house, and they go do their own thing. Like he takes his boys to Disneyland or whatever, and they just give them a place to lay their head. And then another Marine from 1-5, he's got a company, Cock Rocket Apparel.
Cock Rocket Apparel?
Cock Rocket Apparel. He
there
makes, T-shirts, stickers, all that stuff.
Nice.
Hats, some pretty cool hats. And then the War Faced, it's war_faced on Instagram. He makes all the stuff for Alpha Company 1-5.
Cool.
Like their T-shirts and their flags and stuff.
Nice.
And we just did, they almost killed me. Did First Sergeant's Hill about a month ago.
Oh, I saw your pictures from that.
I didn't intend to go.
No?
No, I was just going to go hang out with the guys and then wait till they got back, drink beer or whatever. And they had a couple flags. They had like 4 flags that they wanted to plant on the hill at some of our crosses and stuff. And I'm like, damn, there's not enough people to carry all the flags. So
guess I'm carrying one.
Yeah. So I went up in in shorts and Go Fasters. But another dude that was there, another one of our Marines from the company, he wasn't going to go either. So he's in jeans and freaking Vans.
Oh, that's a tough outfit to be wearing up
and
First
he
Sergeant's Hill.
freaking busted out. And my whole goal was not get behind him. Of course I did, But anyways, yeah, it was freaking awesome. It's well worth the effort.
Yeah.
It was a good time, And then who else is on here? And of course the ANGLICO Association.
ANGLICO Association. The ANGLICO reunion's coming up
This weekend.
Oh, is it this weekend?
Yeah,
I thought it was next weekend.
I think the dinner's tomorrow. I have to look at my calendar.
So by the time you hear this, it's over. So shout out to those ANGLICO guys. I thought it was next weekend.
Yeah, no, it's this weekend.
I didn't register for anything because I'm local, so I didn't need the hotel stuff or anything like that.
Yeah.
So fuck.
I'm gonna try to make the dinner. I have a couple of, as it always happens, you have other engagements.
For sure.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh man. And I already talked to Reggie. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make it. And now I have a couple other things. So I'm gonna see if I can fit things in between.
Yeah, I'm leaning heavily on my calendar nowadays to remind me of, just because I have so much stuff going on. Not because I'm like losing my memory or my mind.
No, you
I
got a lot of moving parts.
I got so much stuff going on. I'll double book shit, like, because I still do photography for people sometimes. I still do, I got the podcast, obviously, like I said before. I don't know if we talked about it. Oh, it was on the other one. So people didn't hear about all the advertising stuff.
Yeah, you got your advertising.
So I do freelance marketing and advertising, so I have to use the calendar quite a bit.
Yeah, well, calendars are good, man. I mean, you got the 1, 2, 3 businesses running at one time?
2 websites and a freelance gig.
Yeah, so
occasional photography.
Yeah, you need a calendar, and you got to, you got to spend time.
I always forget about stuff
with your kid, and you got to do your own thing too.
That's another reason. I think we talked about it I think we talked about it when we got cut off, but there was the ANGLICO Gulf War reunion guys that invited me. So I did want to thank those guys for inviting me out. I couldn't make it. I appreciate it though. I know a few of them listen to the podcast. Leo Lozano, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's the one I think he's one of the ones that set it up and did everything. So
he's all over it.
I did all the shirts for those guys.
Yep, he gets on my Facebook and stuff, and
he was on the podcast once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was. Leo was actually in like the tower that was the opening Kofchi for Gulf War.
Oh shit!
He was the ANGLICO guy in the tower when the fucking Iraqi armor rolled into Kofchi for the Battle of Kofchi.
Oh man, that might not be the same.
I don't know what episode it is. I'd have to go back and look, but Leo Lozano.
I'm gonna look him up because maybe it's not.
Because there were ANGLICO and recon teams strung along the border as observers, and they were doing like call for fire and stuff. And then they got rushed at Kofchi, and that's obviously part of ANGLICO history.
Yeah, a good part too.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Well, so is that all you had on your list?
Yeah, no, that's it. I just wrote them down so I wouldn't forget.
Sweet. Everyone can check out my website, jkramergraphics.com. I'm on Instagram at Former Action Guys, at jkramergraphics, both of those. Tracy is Tracy_03 Sergeant Major, SGT MAJ, First Sergeant Major. Check him out.
Yep. Bug stuff.
And that's it, man. Thanks. Basically doing 2 podcasts here.
Absolutely.
All right.